Welcome to the Tech Ranch, live and local here on Super Talk 1270. The latest gadgets, online security, websites and apps, social media, and so much more. How can technology help you? Let's find out. It's time for the Tech Ranch on Super Talk 1270.
From our studios in beautiful Mandan, North Dakota, along the mighty Missouri River, here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
And today on the Tech Ranch, it's all about how video has changed our lives, of course, on video. Or
how
on,
very
on the
McLuhan
internet.
of you.
Yes. So we're going to talk about streaming video online.
Yeah.
All the choices that we have nowadays. And we have a special guest in studio, Shane White. I'm going to keep calling him Sean all the time, but it is Shane White. Midwest Streams from Fargo, North Dakota is here. So we'll be getting into that in a little bit. And at the control panel, of course, producer extraordinaire, Mr. Jim Walsh.
Well, the study came out saying, believe it or not, we're not making this up, that North Dakotans are the most well-endowed people in the country. If you know what I mean, and I think you do.
We talked about this during the break, and of course we have to just jump right into that. So,
of course.
So,
well, I'm very excited.
You should be.
I like to think that in my own small way, I contributed to that. Bad choice of words, I
but
know.
You're not from here.
That's true.
So maybe you've. I won't even go there.
Yeah, don't. Oh, my question was, does it mean we have them or that we are the biggest? Have the biggest or are the biggest?
Yeah. All right. Moving on. We'll bring that up with Kate when she comes on later. So, because with the article that she wrote over I think in the magazine. Yes.
Go to Barnes & Noble or your local magazine shop of choice and pick up this month's issue of Reason Magazine. There's an article in there on the future of robotics.
Yes.
Am I saying it right?
Yep.
And our friend Ms. Aquino, Ms. Metaverse, is quoted in that article.
Yes. Yeah. So we're guests on our show make news all the time.
Reason Magazine, by the way, is they cover politics and pop culture and technology, all from a very libertarian, very individualistic, anti-authoritarian viewpoint.
I've never actually read it. I'll have to do that sometime. I see you have a copy right here.
Yeah.
With my name on it even. So
Yeah,
cool.
Well, because we knew you'd be coming in, and now we wanted you to see it.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So, we're talking about video streaming online and how it's really changed things. But I have a question to start off with. We're going to be talking about niche markets. Now, how do you say niche?
Niche?
So
niche.
Do you go... I hear a lot of people say it as niche as well. I mean,
I've always said niche.
I have too, I guess.
Nicheism.
And I hear people say niche, and I'm wondering if I'm saying it wrong all the time.
Well, as a marketing major, it came up quite a bit when I was studying the subject, and I always heard it as niche.
Maybe it's both ways, and I'm guessing.
I guess.
So, okay. All right. So at the other microphone, joining us from Fargo, North Dakota, Shane White. Shane, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good today.
Good. Glad to have you here. We kind of ran into each other at the coffee shop yesterday. Didn't even know you were in town, and you're here doing some work, and I think you're presenting at 1 Million Cups this week here in Bismarck, Mandan.
Yeah.
So
he's drinking 1 million cups?
He's drinking 1 million cups. Well, he's on his way. He's got one here.
Bouncing off the walls here, dude.
Do some laps around the building.
Yeah. So, if you want to hear a little bit about what Shane has going on, you can certainly stop by the theater in downtown Bismarck, for those of you who are in the local area, and catch up with Shane with their presentation. But he's here today because we're talking about video and how video has really changed over the last couple of years. And I'm just going to throw out the big elephant in the room right away, and we're going to talk about YouTube. And so, let's just start with that. What is your take on YouTube? Do you use YouTube a lot, Shane? I mean, what do you like about YouTube?
Oh, from a consumer's perspective, YouTube is great. Pretty much anything you want to learn how to do is right there. If you want to be entertained, you can watch it. I watched 4 or 5 TED Talks last night before I went to bed on YouTube.
Okay. So do you generally, I'm gonna guess you're a little older than what we would consider a millennial, but maybe not. I'm just kind of guessing here, I guess, but you grew up on video games and that type of thing. Do you watch a lot of TV nowadays?
No, I kind of consider myself a cord cutter.
Okay.
Definitely don't have cable at my apartment.
Okay.
I really do like the network television, the ABC, CBS, NBC, but other than that, I really don't care for television.
Okay. Okay. So you
Interesting.
consume your video online, basically, outside of the major networks.
Yes, and
Okay.
even if I can't find it online, it really frustrates me.
Okay. So over the last couple of years, then have you been running into situations where is access to content better now than it was a couple of years ago? Do you think, or is it still kind of difficult to find stuff?
I definitely think it's a lot better, but it's still really frustrating. This year was, I believe, the first year the Super Bowl was officially supported and said that Fox had the Super Bowl, right?
I don't remember,
Or
but yeah,
maybe it's
yeah.
whoever had it. They officially endorsed the streaming of it, but they didn't have the commercials.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what you were hoping for was
Yeah.
the commercial part, right? Yeah, and that's the one thing that the FCC really hasn't worked out yet. And they're getting closer. I know with radio it's getting better. But, yeah, the commercial side of it and how they can, monetize these streams or whatever is kind of difficult. So, yeah. So you watch all your stuff on YouTube and other sources like Vimeo? I mean, are you a Vimeo fan as well?
I am. The quality's a lot nicer and it looks a little bit more professional. But
Okay.
I definitely think there's a use for YouTube and Vimeo. I won't even really call them competitors of each other.
Okay. And then how about Vivo? I mean, they're more on the music side, are they not?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of hard to distinguish between Vivo and YouTube because they're so integrated with each other.
Right. Jim?
I was going to say, something occurred to me. A few years ago, I was having a conversation with a friend about the baby boomers, like you and I, Marlo, especially the second half baby boomers, the ones born after, say, 1955.
Right.
We have never known a world without television.
Right.
The millennials, who are just now coming of age, have never known a world without the Internet.
That's correct. And it's interesting
Think
when
about how that must shape your outlook on things.
it does. It shapes your outlook a lot. And, you think about, the way we communicated, you and I probably had phones that were, rotary dial phones. Some of them were the old, I forget what they're called now.
They were called phones.
Yeah.
Well, remember the princess? They had what they called the princess phone, where you would install a second phone in somebody's bedroom, but still
Yes.
you were tied to the cord.
Yes, absolutely.
And that was considered a luxury.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the phones where you had one line that went through 6 or 8 farms, and one
Yeah.
ring would be this farm, 2 rings would be this.
Like on Mayberry.
Yeah, exactly.
Where they
Yep.
they ring up the thingy and
Yeah,
go,
and-
Thelma Lou, would you give me Barney Fife's home number?
Yeah, and things have really changed a lot over the years, and the millennials grew up with texting and have no idea what a cord is, and of course they grew up with the internet. So it really
It's always been there.
Yeah,
They take it for granted.
They have no idea
Hey,
what.
you young guys, you don't know.
So, did you ever use an encyclopedia?
Hardly.
Okay, when we grew up on them. I mean, I remember as a young person, I would just devour encyclopedias because that's where we got our information from.
Britannica, World Book.
Yep, and now of course I'm devouring information online as much as I can.
Hey, remember a world without oxygen?
I don't remember that.
I remember when they first brought in oxygen.
I bet
it
you
was
felt
the
better
hot
that
new
way.
thing. Hey, all of a sudden, nobody could live without it. Weird.
Thanks for chiming in there, Mr. Tech Geezer.
You're welcome.
Yes. So anyway, before we go to break, why don't you tell us just real quickly the company you're with, Shane?
I'm with Midwest Streams.
Okay, and what does Midwest Streams do?
In one sentence, we do funeral webcasting.
Okay, so we're going to get into webcasting and how that has changed our lives after the break.
Right now, 34.
Get the app called Radio Pup for your iPhone and take us everywhere you go. Bismarck and Mandan's own Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek at Facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or TheTechRanch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
I thought you were playing something first. So here we go. Do you remember it? Did you watch it on MTV?
This was the first song ever played on MTV.
Did you watch it?
I didn't see it when it was. No.
As crazy as this is, I actually watched this. I watched
Yeah.
the very first MTV
I know
whatever.
it was kind of slipshod there the first 6 months or so.
It was difficult for him. I know that. I want to say it was in 81 or 82 that MTV.
81,
I think it was 81.
Fall of
yeah.
81.
Yeah.
I think it was like August of 81.
Yeah,
when
something
it
like
finally
that.
launched.
Yeah.
With all the originals.
So I didn't have it at my house, so I actually rented a hotel room because they had MTV in there, and I wanted to be there to see the first thing. So I was barely 18 at the time, just to give you how old I
Right
was.
after MTV launched, I moved to a city that didn't have it because it was
Okay.
still very young.
Yep.
They probably do now. Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh, I'm sure everybody has. In fact, MTV isn't even what MTV started to be,
Yeah.
which is crazy. You hardly ever get a chance to see.
Well, you know what really made
music videos
MTV
anymore.
take off was Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson was huge.
And that's a lesson there. I mean, technology, still, you have to have the creative aspect.
You do.
You have to give reason. I mean, technology's great as a venue, but you still got to give people a reason to tune in.
That's right. You have to have content.
You know,
Absolutely.
no matter how cool no matter how convenient it is, if there's nothing worth listening to, nothing compelling to make
Right.
you tune in,
Right.
You're back to square one.
Which is why we have one listener for this show.
You said it. I didn't.
I'm just kidding. And speaking of listeners, Jim.
Yes.
Yes, I was about ready to thank everybody who listens to us. So, yeah, you can, on the Blueberry Network,
Both
on
of
the
our listeners, yes.
Tech Podcast Network, on iTunes, on Roku. We're all over the place now. And,
Yeah.
of course, our own app, Radio Pup.
Radio Pup.
So get that if you want to.
Free app.
Yep.
And you can listen to all our Town Square Media, the whole family here, the
Yes.
whole radio
Yeah.
family.
Yeah, as you're traveling around the world
Right
or whatever,
there
you can
on
always
your-
catch us.
Yeah, we tell people like for our hockey games,
Sure.
And for all our high school games, which we run here and on the other stations, we always like to say that alumni and friends can listen worldwide
Yep.
via Radio Pup.
Yep. Yep. And of course, nowadays you can sync it in your car and everything. So even while you're
Yeah.
driving, you can listen to this stuff. And, we're getting into this niche market with radio, but of course that happens with video as well. And of course, we have Shane White here with Midwest Streams. And we were just talking about his niche market that they launched a couple of years ago with Kyle Fogarty over in Fargo. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what your service offers?
Basically, we offer an easy way for funeral directors to webcast funerals. We kind of hold their hand through the process. Webcasting can kind of be a little bit complicated, so we wanted to make sure that everyone could do it within the funeral industry.
Okay. And, of course, it's convenient because, and I've run across this a lot myself, a family or a friend or whatever passes away. It's difficult sometimes. You have a 2 or 3 day window, usually at most, to get there.
Yeah.
And to be able to, especially out of North Dakota here sometimes, we don't have flight availability like, a lot of major cities do or whatever. So making that connection or driving across the country to get there can be difficult. So you offer a solution where people who can't get there for whatever reason, maybe their best friend is in a nursing home now and they can't get there or whatever.
Yeah.
You give these people an opportunity to actually attend, don't you?
Yes.
And that's what's really cool about the service that you have. So how does a person, let's say I want to participate in the funeral, want to watch it, how do you go about getting that stream to me?
We kind of offer two options. The first one is we allow the funeral directors to embed it right on their website. So if you go to the funeral home's website and you just click the obituary, you can usually see the video there if they are subscribed to our service. And,
Okay.
The second option is a little bit more of a secured way in case you feel a little uncomfortable letting everyone see your loved one's funeral. We'll send you a private link which you can watch it via email.
I see. So you give people a choice as far. So the first option, literally anybody can go and watch the funeral.
Yes.
Okay. And acceptance, has it been pretty good so far?
Yeah, when I first started this, I really thought everyone would be opting for the more private version because it does seem like something you want a little bit more private. But we've actually been doing a lot more public versions rather than just the private. Because
I think the one thing that comes to mind right away when you say that is that, in that time, again, you only have a couple, 3 days. There are going to be people that you forget.
yep,
And to send them a private invite to watch the video you could miss somebody.
yes,
Whereas when it's public, you just everybody can join in. So that's pretty cool. So you're able to handle hundreds, thousands of people viewing at a time. How does that all work? You're smiling when I say that.
Yeah, there's definitely some technical limitations that's not really easy to solve, and we're kind of battling with this every day.
Okay. Yeah, and it is a challenge, and I think one of the challenges and one of the growth opportunities in the industry is that not everybody is the same across the internet as far as speeds go. Somebody who lives in New York, for example, if you're going through a switch that maybe there's not there might be an area where there's no fiber, and to get a video stream through that can be a little bit of a challenge. So yeah. So other niches that you see with broadcasting, I guess one of the things that I've seen starting to pop up a little bit is the broadcast of like high school basketball games and things like that. Do you see other niches too? Moving forward, besides these type of things that people might start offering services for?
Oh, definitely. When I'm trying to solve my own tech problems, I'm there's this company called Huddle out of Kansas City, and they do exactly that. They stream high school services, and they've got some really cool tech going on as well. And,
okay,
that's just one niche, and there's all sorts of little niches going on in these videos. Because sometimes YouTube just doesn't cut it for everyone's needs.
Well, and the thing is, and you're right. I mean, I know YouTube offers a streaming service now too, but there are times that, like you said, you sometimes need to hold, the company's hand a little bit, help them. There's a lot of limitations with YouTube, and I guess I haven't even used their streaming service. I've used Ustream occasionally, and that was okay. But there's all kinds of, but you have to be a little more technical with those type of things, and I think services like yours really help that out. And you're able to, in a niche market, tailor make like the widgets and things that you create to that industry, whereas a YouTube or a Ustream or whatever, it's just wide out, to the whole world. So yeah. So Jim, in the radio industry,
yeah.
Do you see more and more people streaming video from studios like what we're in right now?
We see a lot of that. I mean, that's obviously not all there is to it. A lot of radio stations, a lot of people are struggling now to figure out how to coordinate what we do with radio with all the new media, the new technology. And it's still kind of the wild, wild west out there. I think a lot of people are just kind of beginning to get a handle on it. Now, this company that owns this station, Town Square Media, they're very big on new media.
Sure.
They've got us doing all the stuff with the podcasting.
Right.
And obviously we have a Radio Pub so we can get the digital thing going. But right now there's still a lot of trial and error going on out there. The big mistake I think a lot of stations make is they think, we're going to stream our thing on the Internet. That's what we have to do. No, it's not all you have to do. There has to be a whole coordinated marketing plan to put everything together in a cohesive whole.
And I think one of the things about, like Shane too, you offer part of your services is that they are able to actually watch the funeral service after the fact too, right?
Yes, that's actually kind of
on
more
demand.
Focused on that.
Right. Yeah. So, you offer the live streaming, the greatest example I can give you is this show right here.
Yeah.
I mean, we're live. But after the fact, I put it up on the TechRanch.com, and there are literally thousands and thousands of downloads of this podcast every week.
People can listen when they
ready
want to listen.
That's right. That's right. So you don't have to attend anything, and that's what's changed about video so much is that the internet has really forced, like the cable companies, whatever, to start offering on-demand services because people don't want to. DVR things anymore or whatever. They're getting used to the Netflix type of scenario or Amazon Prime Video where they can just pull the stuff on demand when they want to. And that has dramatically changed even the major networks, hasn't it?
50 years ago, the Beatles were on Ed Sullivan for the first time. They were on Sunday night at, I think, 8 o'clock, 7 Central.
Okay.
And if you wanted to see the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, you had to be parked in front of your TV. You had to turn to the right channel. You had to be there at a certain time or you didn't get to see it.
Right. Yep, that's exactly right. And that's
50 years ago, last year, that was.
Yeah, but what's amazing about that is you'd think that with everything being on demand nowadays, or not everything, but a lot, that would affect the majors a lot too. But wasn't the Super Bowl the largest audience ever this year?
I believe it was.
Yes.
So there are still things that pull people to regular TV.
Yeah.
So it is interesting that, I mean, you know, I this is the first Super Bowl I didn't watch because I actually took the approach that I want to watch it after the fact. It was actually kind of difficult to watch after the fact. You could see bits and pieces here, but there's nobody that actually has the whole game anywhere that I'm aware of. So
it was not a matter of everybody on earth saying all at once when Pete Carroll made that last call, "Oh, my God, what's he think he's doing?" It was kind of more spread out over time.
Yep.
You know, 12 hours later, the following morning, guys were going,
people are still
"What
looking
the hell
at
is
it.
he doing?"
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. There's people that are still watching that call.
Yeah.
You know,
There's
as we speak here.
you know, probably some guy in the Army over in the Middle East somewhere.
Right.
Who's, just finally got some time to sit down, and he never saw the Super Bowl. He kept telling the other guys, telling his buddies, "Now don't spoil it for me. You know, I'm going to sit down." And at this very moment, he's watching the thing right at the end where Pete Carroll told the guy to throw the. Oh man.
Yep. But I will say I love the ability to stream on demand.
Yes.
How about yourself, Shane?
Yeah.
I did it. I knew I was going to do it. So you like that ability to pull up content and watch it whenever you want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay. So, all right, everybody, after the break, Miss Metaverse, Kate Aquino, will be joining us to continue our conversation on video and how it's affected us. So come on back.
Right now, 34.
You're never more than a few minutes from a weather update here on Super Talk 1270.
We're back to the Tech Ranch. Stream this program now at supertalk1270.com. Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
And welcome back, everybody. In studio, we have producer Jim Walsh and co-founder of Midwest Streams, Shane White. And, of course, on the phone, Miss Metaverse, Kate Aquino. Kate, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Marla. How you doing?
Doing fine, too. So all kinds of things we're going to discuss today. And we are talking about video. Shane is actually the co-founder of Midwest Streams. And Shane, why don't you just bring everybody up to speed about what you do with Midwest Streams?
We have a software solution that allows funeral directors to easily webcast funerals. So if you can't make it to attend a funeral for whatever reason, you can watch it online.
So the discussion, Kate, has been that these niche markets that we're finding for video, and of course Shane falls right into that. So have you seen other emerging niche markets as far as video streaming goes?
I have. There's a lot of different ways that people are incorporating streaming. I actually I have a friend. You know, I started my working career in film and television, and I had some friends that had an idea. They turned a bus into a live streaming bus where you could do things similar like that, like weddings or whatnot. And I thought it was pretty interesting. But now, you know, in the last 10 years, that technology has become more compact and easier to do. And I think it's only going to get easier, really, and it's going to get better quality, easier to do. And I think that's a good. I don't know. It's hard for people to travel and get to places, and I think that's a good thing. I really do. It's making people be able to be there and be in the moment, and without having to lose out if they can't travel.
Right, and that is the challenge with a lot of these things, and especially funerals. I mean, we were just talking about Leonard Nimoy. I think he passed away on a Friday, and his funeral was on Saturday, correct?
Well, that's a Jewish thing, I'm sure.
Right, and
I know he was Jewish. I don't know if he was Orthodox, but it sure sounds like maybe the family was Orthodox. It was the family's wishes.
But the ability to make it there, and you know, in some cases, you may not have even heard about it.
Yeah.
In a day, you know, and of course we were talking about how William Shatner was not able to get there because of other commitments that he had. But to be able to get there in 24 hours from, you know, wherever he was at, that's really a commitment, you know, or a challenge. And technologies like what we're talking about here make that possible to at least, you know, maybe virtually attend. So. And
that's the thing too, exactly. I mean, and that's also a European thing too. I have actually. A friend of mine, his grandmother passed away, unfortunately, and they had the funeral the next day. And how are you supposed to get on a plane, especially with the pricing? I mean, geez, it's got to be thousands of dollars to just get on a plane overnight.
Right,
and go
exactly.
To Europe.
Yeah,
so
you get no special discounts. Yeah, exactly.
American Airlines no longer has the bereavement package.
They
threw that
out. Oh, they threw that out a few years ago, didn't they?
Most of them have stopped doing that now.
Yeah.
So. they just figure that you're just going to get the best price you can online anyway. So
Yeah,
why offer all that stuff? So yeah. So what about like Netflix, and Amazon Prime and other streaming things like that, Kate? How do you see that impacting regular television moving forward?
Well, people, just like how it did away with DVDs. Now, when you look at DVDs, it's like, oh, what are these things? I just threw out, I felt really bad about it, but I ended up donating books and books and books of DVDs, and all of a sudden it's like, we don't even need these anymore. And I think that's what's happening now. Everyone it's the cloud. Everything is in the cloud.
Yeah.
It's all cloud-based. And it's going to be like that in the future. There's not going to be any tangible things. Everything's going to be online in the cloud, instantly on demand. And it's only becoming more popular, and I think that even television itself is not going to be the way it is now. Everything's going to be online, and that's going to happen very, very soon.
So do you think that, as we watch TV, are you thinking that they're still going to have the shows, a primetime lineup, so to speak, or are they just going to start making things to be streamed?
Everything's going to be streamed, and it's going to be interactive as well. I think it's very dystopian, but that show Black Mirror definitely captured an idea of how it might be in the future, where everything is kind of live streamed and everything's very technological, and everyone is able to interact with these big shows. Like an American Idol of the future would be people being able to cast their votes and be interactive with it. It's all going to be like that in the future for sure. And I do see it's already going away. I see more and more people just losing interest in those big shows, and it's harder for people to get into shows like they used to. It's different now.
Yeah, it is. But there are some, and it's interesting, like Netflix, House of Cards, a show that I thoroughly enjoy.
I hear they've gotten really lame in their third season.
It wasn't as good as I expected it, but this is the thing that I love about
Frank needs to throw somebody under a train quick.
Something like that, yes.
No spoilers, no spoilers.
Okay. You haven't watched it yet?
Oh, I'm just about through season 3.
Oh, okay. But what I love about it is that, first of all, they bring out the whole season at one time.
Yeah.
I literally watched it from 10 p.m. to noon. I pretty much stayed up all night when it came out, just so I could catch the whole thing.
And that's very common.
It is very
watching.
common.
It's very common nowadays.
Yep. So,
but that's the way we think. When we find something we like, we want it instantly on demand. We want to watch the whole show. I can't even tell you. I started watching Dexter. I watched all seasons in like 2 days.
Right.
It's crazy, and that's how we are now. We want it all,
Yeah, but the cool thing is that if you need to walk away from it at any time, you can do that.
Exactly.
you have all that opportunity to do that. So
you can put on the hold, don't miss a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're going to move on a little bit here. Well, let's get to the magazine first, Kate, and I'll just let Jim, I'm going to hand it back over to him here because he's the one that found you. So
Reason Magazine, Free Minds and Free Markets. Let me open up to page 27. Article by Elizabeth Nolan Brown. Talking about sex, love, and robots. Will sex bots make human life better, creepier, or both?
And, of course, our own Miss Metaverse is quoted in this
Third
article.
paragraph in.
All right.
Right near the top, Kate.
All right. So
Katie
very cool.
Aquino. Or is it Aquino?
It's Aquino.
Okay. A futurist and self-proclaimed techno-optimist who goes by the name Miss Metaverse online, agrees that sex dolls and sex robots are poised to go big. But Aquino doesn't think improved industrial tech will be the main force driving the growth. Instead, she thinks, well, what do you think is the future? I'll leave it to you. Hobbyist, right? Sound like you need a little prompting there.
She just didn't think we were going to bring this up during the show is all.
Okay.
So, but...
well, she says you believe that the first truly lifelike sex dolls won't be made in factories. They'll be made in people's garages. Why does that sound?
It is. It's definitely an awkward topic to talk about for sure.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the future of sex robots and anything like that, it's actually happening. People are actually creating robots in their garage, and whether they be used for whatever purposes, it is happening because they aren't being made elsewhere. They're not being manufactured yet.
Well,
technology.
Of course, we like to we're a cutting edge show here, I guess. So we have no problem talking about these type of things, and I mean that's just where technology is taking us. That's just how it is. So, but if you want to know more or want to read more about Miss Metaverse's take on the topic, I guess you can find her in Reason Magazine,
which is also available through Nook and Kindle.
Right. On the book stands now.
Stand of your choice. Yes.
So very, very, very
I know
cool.
Barnes and Noble hasn't.
Now, of course, there's also another big announcement today, Kate. So why don't you take us there?
Yes. Well, today is the highly anticipated Apple Spring Forward keynote event, which will be broadcasting live at 1 p.m. Eastern. So that's only in, 20 minutes from now?
Yes.
And unfortunately, you can't actually watch the Apple Spring Forward keynote unless you have an Apple device. So if you have Apple, you can watch it either on your Safari browser or Apple TV. However, there are a lot of companies and media that's going to be covering it, such as The Verge and Engadget will be live sharing and tweeting everything that's happening from the event, so you can check it out there. Also, Twitter is great. I'll also be live tweeting about the Apple Spring Forward event. And there's a lot of great things that we're expecting to see today. For one, we're going to be seeing the Apple Watch, and we should expect to see how much the Apple Watch will exactly be. We already know that the Apple Watch will start around $349. But we're also going to find out what accessories and bands we can get with the Apple Watch. We're also going to find out, maybe get a preview of some of the apps that will be coming out and how we could use them. And also we'll be seeing the new iOS 8.2, which will be the iOS update that will include the Apple Watch Companion app. And I think we're also going to be seeing some news about the new MacBook, which looks really exciting too. I hope it's going to be maybe a lighter, smaller laptop, and maybe it'll be in a better price range. Maybe something that will be a nice different change than the other ones that are out now. So looks good.
I did not realize that they were going to be making so many announcements. Of course, the media is abuzz about the new watch, and I know you and I have talked about it quite a bit on the show in the past. So, do you know if they're going to the announcement today? Are they actually going to have it for sale sometime in the near future?
Well, the Apple Watch is going on sale in April, so it should be soon. Yeah.
Okay, and I know you mentioned the $329 price, but there are some people that are speculating that they're actually, it could almost be like an Apple timepiece where they'll have maybe silver and gold in some of these and maybe be taking on companies like Rolex.
Yes, they are, actually. They're anticipating that some of these gold-plated Apple Watches could cost as much as $5,000 to $10,000, but the top end could be as much as $20,000 for this gold-plated Apple Watch. Amazing. Jim
is in line right now.
Yeah.
Nothing
Very
but
cool.
the best for my friend Jim. So maybe we can get a couple samples from Apple.
At my age, I don't know if there's enough time left for me to save up for that kind of thing.
It'll be the eternal timepiece, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we got to get the tech geezer. He's got to step it up. Need some gold.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. So. And, okay, so I guess we're probably coming up onto break here. So we will do that. And after the break, all four of us will be continuing the conversation on the anticipated thing with Apple, as well as maybe some other last-minute takes on the video. So come on back, everybody.
Hey, remember this new thing came out one time? It was called a sundial. I said, it'll never last.
Right now, 39.
Your news leader, weeknights at 6 and 10. Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And before I forget, I like to highlight an Indiegogo or Kickstarter campaign every week, and my choice this week is the Anvil Creation Center, and that's ANVIL Creation Center. It's a 3D printer. It's actually not a 3D printer. It's a designing software that basically everybody can use to make things with their 3D printer. And it comes with a filament auto-loading feature for your 3D printer. If you've ever for people who have 3D printers, one of the challenges you have is when you put the filament in. It's almost like putting thread in a needle, and sometimes it's very, very difficult to do. So they have developed this auto-loading feature for filament, and the filament comes in cartridges, and you just plug the cartridge in and it fills. And the software that comes with this is like Legos. So it has these pieces that you literally put together when you're designing something. So you don't have to AutoCAD or CAD the whole thing. Let's say you just need a square. You grab the square, grab the triangle, you put all this stuff together, and you create what you're creating from that instead. So it's very, very, very ingenious. So go check it out, everybody. It's on Kickstarter right now. They're doing pretty good, too. They already have $15,000 raised of what they're after. So, but it's Anvil Creation Center. And with that, we'll go back to Kate. And why don't you finish with what we're talking about as far as Apple Watch goes, Kate?
Yeah, so today is going to be the Apple Spring Forward keynote event, and starting at 1 o'clock Eastern, so that's 10 minutes from now, you can tune in through your Apple devices using a Safari browser, and you can also go on Twitter and visit me at Miss Metaverse. I'll be live tweeting my favorite highlights, and we're going to be hearing a lot about the new Apple Watch, and some of the things that I think are going to be really interesting are going to be, actually, you can use the Apple Watch at Starwood hotels, and if you have the Apple Watch, you'll be able to open up your hotel room door with the watch. So I thought that's kind of cool.
So when you check in, will they actually just kind of, how they program a key right now that you use? They're just going to program the watch to allow you to just enter your room.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like an app, just like when you buy movie tickets through Fandango. You can bring it to your the ticket counter guy, and then he'll just scan it. It's going to be the same. I think that you're going to have some kind of a scanning or something like that, and that'll let you inside your room.
That's pretty cool.
So that seems pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, chain restaurants, also like Panera Bread, will let you pay using the Apple Pay.
Okay.
So a couple other things. Let's see.
Well, I was just reading this morning about people who have watches that are synced to their phones now, and I guess there's an over 80% reduction in people grabbing their phones because they just look at their watch instead now. So texts that are coming in, because you can text from the watch, you can do you can get the email notifications, whatever, and that's what people are looking at their phones at most of the time anyway. So it dramatically, in meetings and that type of thing, it's a dramatic impact.
Right, and I think a lot of us are starting, especially the younger generations, are communicating more and more using emojis and other kind of alternative ways instead of having to actually text. And I saw that there's a beta out now for the iOS 8.3. And apparently they're making new kinds of emojis now. Because now if you use emojis, they're very kind of limited. There's a lot of emojis that aren't even there. And they're kind of, if you ask me, I think they're kind of cheesy. But now they're going to be making more emojis. I think that people will be communicating more with symbols and drawings, and that's exactly what the Apple Watch is doing.
I was just going to ask you, why don't you explain to everybody what emojis are?
Right. So if you don't know what emojis are, they're like little icons that you could choose from to communicate what you're thinking. So they'll be like smiley faces. There's a bunch of smiley faces. There's a symbol for a man. There's a baby. There's dogs. And you can use these symbols instead of actually having to text. So especially the younger generations, they kind of communicate entirely in emojis. It's pretty amazing. One of my favorite meme photos that circulates around the web is, what if we circle back to hieroglyphs, like through the emojis? And I thought that was pretty interesting, right?
Well, we have circled back to texting. You think about it, we went from, writing on cave walls or carving to, typing, to audio, to video, to smartphones, to voicemail, to texting. I mean,
With emoticons.
how did we go backwards in this? Because to me, it's just the craziest thing that the number one way we communicate in this world is by texting now.
Right.
We have all these other tools at our avail, and we still do this. So it's interesting that emoticons are taking over. So do you use the emoticons, Shane?
Yeah, actually quite a bit.
Really? So tell me about this process. I mean, are you is it through a messenger service like on Facebook that you use them, or are you actually using them in your texts?
Right in iMessage, I believe Android finally kind of got support for it, so now you can use the emoticon between sending from Apple to Android, which was kind of always the translation never really occurred.
Okay.
Now it does.
So
If I want to send like a happy face or something, you can just put a little emoji in there or a picture of a jet.
So do you actually use these to spell out a sentence, or I mean, do you just somebody sends you something and you send a smiley face back just to confirm that you got it? I mean, how are you doing that?
I know if let's say someone wants to go get lunch, I'll be like, hey, let's go get someone like pictures of pizza and hamburgers.
Oh, okay, interesting. So you make me hungry looking at your texts now. That's good. So, so all right, keep going, Kate. Anything else with the Apple Watch that you think will be interesting?
I think what I basically saw the most is that there's just a lot of anticipation for the watch, and I actually read online, I think it was The Verge, and they said that the Apple Watch might be the number one selling wearable to date, which I obviously do believe. But they also said it could be the thing that actually makes Apple potentially the first $1 trillion company.
Yeah, I've heard that rumor too. And then you throw in the fact, and I'm going out on a little bit of a limb here, but I've heard reports that Apple is working on an iCar.
Yes, and that was funny too because some people are like, "Oh, do you think we'll hear about the Apple Car at this announcement?" And some people said, probably not for at least another decade. But if you ask me, hey, it could be within the next 3 to 5 years for sure. I don't think it's going to take 10 years.
I agree with that.
Less.
I mean, as you know, I mean, I've already ridden in a couple of autonomous vehicles, through the streets of Las Vegas, and the technology is there. It's what's going to be interesting about like the iCar is. Are they going to only allow people who have an iTunes account to buy the car? I mean, that's the thing that I think will be interesting with these type of things. But it should be a lot of fun to see. And do you have any speculations as far? I don't mind getting into the autonomous vehicle discussion a little bit. Shane, have you been following autonomous vehicles at all? Or
I was just reading an article this morning about how Mercedes kind of really released a proof of concept autonomous vehicle and it's been driving around. And I think everyone kind of thinks it's this dream, but recently Ford and Chevy announced that they want to have solid prototypes by 2020. So when you got the major players committed to it, I think within 10 years, consumers will have autonomous cars.
Okay. And how do you feel about Google and Apple and other companies that are not traditional car companies coming out with things, and is that going to impact the big three automakers?
It could. If my recommendation to them would be look at partnerships now.
Okay. What's your take on that, Kate?
I do. I think it's definitely going to be happening faster than we originally anticipated because some people think it's going to be way farther out, and it will happen faster.
And do you think companies like Apple and Google will impact the sales of Chrysler and Ford and Chevy?
Absolutely. I definitely do.
So are you thinking that they might go after, like what Shane was talking, where they might actually do something with a collaboration with these companies, or are we just going to see Google as its own car manufacturer as well?
I think that they're going to be – I think Google did make it clear the end of last year, I read somewhere that Google wanted to potentially have we'll be doing collaborations, but not its own car. So I don't think we'll be seeing Google cars on the market. I think we'll be seeing the Google in collaboration, almost like Android enabled cars.
Okay.
And that's what I think.
Okay. Interesting. All right, everybody. Appreciate you being on the show. Kate, again. And for everybody, go get the most recent copy of Reason. Yes, you'll catch Miss Metaverse in there. Shane with Midwest Streams, thanks again. Tell us where you can find your website.
www.midweststreams.com.
And, of course, I'll have that on the Tech Ranch website as well. And, Jim, pleasure as always.
Always a pleasure.
All right, everybody, have a great week. Enjoy our fabulous weather.